can call the meeting to,
It's not quite live streaming yet.
oh, okay.
It always takes like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that to actually go live over on YouTube. And then there's always like a 30-second delay. So it's weird. They're going to hear me talking, but I don't see me yet. There we are.
Call the meeting to.
All right. We are now live.
We can call the meeting to session. Becky,
We'll take roll call and we'll see Helen Douglas Taylor,
present.
John Knowles,
Present.
Mary Kay O'Neill,
I'm here.
Robin Drew,
Here.
Becky Miller,
Present.
Courtney Olmsted,
Present.
Fran Ventimiglia,
Present.
and Ruth Benner is not able to make it tonight, and we do not seem to have Evelyn Green with us.
Scott, do we have any public?
There are no public comments on YouTube, and no one has come to the building to be the public either. I have the room set up for it in case they
Okay.
come in.
So should we go to the next line item or should we wait?
Yeah, I'd say go ahead and like normal.
Okay.
If they
Okay.
show up, they'll show up.
Second line item is, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from the August 23rd meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Scott, the director's report.
Okay, you've got my director's report in front of you. The only thing I think I will comment on is that two things. One is that tonight is the night that we talk about tax rate. And we set the tax rate for the year. We do that every year. One thing that we do during that process is read out the entire tax rate resolution. And that's a little bit of pomp and ceremony that I like because it reminds us that we are doing this because the taxpayers asked us to, and that we have that responsibility. Whenever we set the tax rate, it's a reminder of that responsibility. So we will do that part when we get to the line item on the agenda, but I just wanted to say that out loud. The other things you can just see the things we're working on, and the last thing to comment on is that under the plans for funds, this is in response to the request last time that we make sure that we are putting the public need first when we think about what to do with money. And so we're going to chase these ideas unless anyone has an objection. And if the cost of them go over what we have budgeted this year, then we'll come back to you all for an amended budget later in the year. So specifically it says, we will proceed now further developing each of these ideas and then pursuing all of them that we think are a good use of funds. One that is big and has long-term consequence is making faxing, copying, and printing permanently free up to 30 pages per day. And so if anyone has an objection to that, it'd be a good idea to clarify that. But these are all in line with the idea of crossing that digital divide and reaching into the parts of Ferguson we have trouble reaching into now.
Anybody opposed to that? Free copies up to 30 page?
How many people we have utilizing 30 pages besides Daddy Allward?
The people that come in and want to print like a whole, a manual that has like 200 pages or something like that. And we tell them, we can't do that 200 pages for free. And they'll be like, oh, really? How much? And then they'll pick out their pages. So by giving a 30 page, that's enough to handle almost everyone's prints, except for the people that are printing without thinking it through.
Okay.
Which is also why we put the whole print system in place, because before it was just showing up on a printer. And when people do that without thinking through, then we're just wasting a whole lot of pages. So essentially that's what the 30 page does. It makes people stop and think before they print too much.
John, you have further discussion of that?
What'd you say?
I was asking
just-
John.
I was just wondering how many people we have, because I'm figuring most people are getting, between 5 and 10 pages tops.
That's correct. For most people, it's 5 or 10 pages at tops. And it's only just like, maybe once a day or once every other day, we'll have someone who will like, oh, wait, I didn't know that was going to be that many pages. We also have
Okay.
people that are like printing flyers for church and that kind of thing. And they'll come in and they'll want like 500 pages. And, I have no problem with the free prints, but there's a point where it feels like it's abusing the system. And so that's how we landed at 30.
Okay.
Does everybody believe 30 is sufficient or?
There's just one instance where we might wish to make a change on that. In dealing with some people who have needed assistance with their rent, there are 1 or 2 of the apartment complexes in the area whose leases run like 35, 40 pages long, just because they throw in every piece of anything they can think of. And if they need that to apply for the housing effort, I think we should maybe make an exemption if it's something like that. But some of those leases can run more than 30 pages.
Okay. Yeah, I can specify that gets an exception. And I also will give the staff the authority to waive that fee if they think it's appropriate.
Mhm. I like that. Any other concerns about that?
Good with that. I was looking at the Wi-Fi hotspot for
Mhm.
6,000 a year going forward. That's interesting.
The city apparently has Wi-Fi at a couple of their parks, but they didn't have the funding or something to go through that program. And so we talked about this when we applied for a grant recently. And the city loved the idea of working with us to wire up another 3 parks that have power but don't have Wi-Fi. And so we've already done most of the research on that, and we think we can do that pretty straightforwardly, working with the city.
So you're looking at just short of $7,000 to do the whole town?
No, the Wi-Fi in the parks is with the city, and that's just in the parks. The hotspots that are for lending, and that's what's going to cost $6,000 a year, I think it is, for the T-Mobile service. Those are separate, and that will be 50 hotspots to lend out. We currently have around 15 or 12 because some of them have gotten lost and never come back. We would be jumping that number up to 60 some odd and going from there and establishing some of them as semester long checkouts so we can make sure that we are putting some aside for kids' needs in school.
Do you know if those hotspots come with filters pre-installed?
Part of our agreement with the existing hotspots is to have filters in order to be SEPA compliant. We have to for the grant. And so that's all been arranged, and we would add new hotspots on the same kind of understanding.
Do we know what do those filters filter out? Do you know what they're set for?
They're T-Mobile's default settings, and I have not dived into them.
Okay, I was just curious.
Item F, there's isn't there a boys and girls club that they put up at the side of the old QT, I
Yes,
believe?
yes. Urban League?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Have we, for like an item F, have we reached out to the Urban League to see if we could,
Well, we last pursued this a couple of years ago, excuse me. And I think we did reach out to the Urban League and never got a response. But if we're going to revive this thing, then we're going to be reaching out to them first, because that's the obvious answer. And then
Yeah.
we'll go from there. But honestly, anyone can do, as long as they have a safe environment for us to lend out of. with the scope of the plan as presented under F. But they're the obvious answer, and we'll approach them first.
Is that the teen center that you were referring to, Don? The Boys and Girls Club? Or were you?
The Urban League is at the old QT spot. I thought the Boys
Right.
and Girls Club was.
Yeah, it's over. I can't think of the name of the street. It's just where the QT was before 2014. That's the only public building I can think of that's in that corridor.
There is a Boys and Girls Club on West Florissant.
It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, it's not,
It's not part of the Urban League.
Right. That's what I was thinking of when John mentioned that was there's a new Boys and Girls Club that opened.
Yeah.
I think it's just south of where Ferguson Avenue hits West Florissant.
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like it's half block shy of the Urban League.
Which would be really nice if we could, plug some more of our youth into reading and resources for them. But I don't know if that would be available to the general public. If we had a presence set up there, if people could, who can just walk in and access that.
And I guess their hours of operation, because I'm not sure what time they close. If they do evening hours or if it's just 9 to 5-ish, 6-ish.
When we find someone to partner with, we'll be having all those discussions. We got to do it in some place where everyone can get to it. These are the hours that we'd like to have staff come over with boxes of books to lend out to people, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all for a later part of this conversation.
And then you're finishing the paperwork for the food distribution?
Yeah, well, more like in the middle of it because there's a lot of paperwork, but yeah,
Okay.
we're working our way through that process. And it's well worth it right now for all that paperwork because the box lunches are don't have to be refrigerated and they're shelf stable, and they're easy to give out. After this school year, whenever they go back to using milk and meats and that kind of stuff, it'll get a lot more complicated, and we'll have to decide then whether or not it makes sense to do it. Because have to have a special refrigerator, have to have a space for them to eat, have to worry about spilling stuff on the carpet, so on and so forth. It gets a lot more complicated once it's perishable foods. But we'll tackle that when we get to it.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions concerning the director's report? Okay. Next line item is the treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Becky did send over the QuickBooks file and the bank statements are just nice and early in the month. Thank you, Becky. Although, I look at them on the last day. I guess I give myself away. Everything looked really fine. The bank reconciliations were present. And just so you know, I go through each account on this income statement. And I do like a click review, open it up and look at what's inside of it. Just make sure you could start getting used to seeing what you're supposed to see in each one. So that's just the other little piece of it that I do, but everything looks really good. So thank you.
Thank you. Next line item is old business. I don't think we have any. I don't think we have anything to discuss. Then we're on to new business. Financial. I don't think we have anything there. Then we're on to the resolution of the tax rate. He reads first, right?
No, there has to
Somebody
be
has
a-
to make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion to accept as presented in the board packet, the tax rate.
Okay.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second that
Do we-
motion.
The second, okay. Ferguson Municipal Public Library District Resolution
Don't you
21.
think we ought to vote on it?
We read before we vote, so everyone's heard it clearly. And then we do a roll call vote where each individual says yea or nay.
You ready? Okay. Ferguson Municipal Public Library District Resolution 2101. Be it resolved by the Board of the Ferguson Municipal Public Library District of Ferguson, Missouri as follows. Section 1. The rate of taxation for the year 2021, 2022 is hereby fixed at 3 13/100 mils on each $1 or 313,000 cents, 0.313 on each $100 of assessed valuation of residential real estate, at 0 9300 mils on each $1 or 93,000 cents, 0.093 on each $100 of assessed valuation of agricultural property, at 3 6700 mils on each $1 or 367,000 cents, 0.367 on each $100 of the assessed valuation of commercial property, and at 4 0/100 mils on each dollar or 400,000 cents, 0.400 on each $100 of assessed valuation of personal property made taxable by law within the limits of the Ferguson Municipal Public Library District for the maintenance of a free public library. Section 2. The library district may make adjustments pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes Section 137.073 and as required by law in accordance with Article 10, Section 22 of the Missouri State Constitution. Section 3. The St. Louis County Department of Revenue is hereby authorized and empowered through its officers and agents to collect said tax and to credit the same to the account of the Ferguson Municipal Public Library District.
Okay, and we will do a roll call vote. So Helen Douglas Taylor
Yes.
and John Knowles
Yes.
and Mary Kay O'Neill
Yes.
and Robin Drew
Yes.
and Becky Miller,
Yes.
Courtney Olmsted,
Yes.
and Fran Ventimiglia.
Yes.
I make a motion that we accept it, or?
It is,
no?
it is,
It's accepted. Okay.
it is accepted now.
No building maintenance, no general. I see Tony Burrow has shown up. You have something for us, Tony?
Not today, thank you.
That's it? We didn't have any public? No?
None in building and no comments on YouTube.
Okay. Well, that was quick. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
God, I miss seeing you all in person. I'm just gonna say that because I'll be out here among all these other people. I'm just saying.
Mm.
Yeah, I miss seeing you all in person. Okay, well, have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week and see you
And-
next month. Go
And
ahead.
Helen, you're gonna stop by
I
and
am
sign
gonna-
that resolution?
I will. You said before what time tomorrow?
Just if you could do it sometime tomorrow morning, or if you get to do it after work, we could.
It's got to be in by Thursday, like there Thursday.
Right. Okay. How early are you all there in the morning?
8:30.
I can be earlier if you need it.
Earlier, like I have to be at work at 7:30.
We
You don't
could
want to
do
be that kind of early,
We-
right?
No, we could do something, or we could even do
Um,
it tonight if you wanted just to do it
Well, I
tonight.
was
and get
just
it over.
thinking, how late are you? Can I run up there now?
Yes,
Yeah.
because they're open till 8.
Okay.
Yep, and I'll be here until you get here.
Okay,
Right.
All right.
I'll come tonight. That'll be easier for everybody. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
I'll send you an email, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanks all.